Welcome to Grew with Portia, the podcast that uncovers the hidden treasures within grief. I'm your host, Portia the producer, and I'm inviting you to join me on a transformative journey where we will exchange laughter, of course the best medicine of them all, reflect on cherished memories. Remember that time that the little boy grabbed my hand instead of his mother's at the amusement park? Yikes. And of course discover gratitude while navigating one of life's hardest challenges, loss. So get ready to grow with me, Portia the producer. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Groove with Portia. I'm your host, Portia Booker, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with the latest and greatest of all with Groove with Portia. You guys, Portia has down days. I'm going to say that again. Portia has down days. I may not always showcase what it looks like on social media, but one thing I know for certain is that I believe even though my mom is no longer here physically, I believe she's always in my corner. So a couple weeks ago, I was having one of them really tough days. Y'all know what I'm talking about as entrepreneurs, when you want to throw in the towel, you're exhausted, you're not seeing the ROI. Sometimes you fall into the comparison well. Anybody else can relate to that? Well, on this particular day, I happened to go outside on the front porch and have a package out there. Now, I know I didn't order anything, but you know what? Sometimes things come right on time for you when it's meant to. And my uncle, those of you know, I always talk about my uncle all the time. He's like my dad. He always reminds me, Portia, let go, let God. I'm saying it again, Portia, let go, let God. And that day he happened to say that to me. And what are the odds that the jewelry that I received in the mail, the bracelet would say, let go, let God. The other thing that also happened was when I opened the second package, which had a ring. And those of you know, I talk about gratitude all the time. Gratitude is one of my big words. And the ring just happened to say, give, forgive, and be grateful to live. Let that sink in today for all of you. So today, everybody, I have the honor of actually being joined by the founder of The Honest Jeweler. So for those of you who may follow The Honest Jeweler on social media, this brand has been backed by the Mel Robbins and also Miss Rachel Platten, who wrote the song Fight Song. So without further delay, welcome to Grew with Portia, founder of The Honest Jeweler, Miss Rachel Samani. Welcome, Rachel, to Grew with Portia. How are you today?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor to be here with you.
Rachel, I agree. I was excited once I saw your story and I said, I have to have her on because I believe that all of us have, and we were talking a little bit before we started, that inner fight song when we're going through it, when we need that reminder to just keep going, right? This too shall pass. And I'm curious, Rachel, what is your fight song?
I went through, a lot of, hard times in my life. And, for me, bringing in these spinner rings that I've created has really been very grounding for me.
Mm,
And I really needed something to ground me in my life. It was really important that I changed my inner critic, and we all have that inner critic inside of us, that negative self-talk. And I really wanted to, from the depths of my soul, to change that inner critic to an inner coach. And for me, it was a fight to do that. It really was. It was not easy. And don't get me wrong, I still do. Like you said, we have our ups, we have our downs, we got those days where just like throw in the towel. But in general, I think that I really have empowered myself to really be grateful for what I have, to find meaning in every moment, to appreciate, and to really make the invisible in our lives to become visible again. And I think that, that's really what my story, my brand is really all about. It's really not about jewelry. It's really just empowering, you know, everyone around us, because we all need that inner strength. That we all have our, battles and our fight, and it's empowering us. And I'm just so honored and grateful that I get to, you know, that I had the ability to find the strength inside me to fight, and to realize that, our scars are the beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It's our strength. And if we tap into that strength and that light, we could create and build mountains. And thank God that I had the ability and opportunity to do that. So, it's really it's really an honor and a pleasure.
Rachel, you brought up how you were able to turn your inner critic into your inner coach. I'm curious, Rachel, what was the limiting belief that you were holding on to?
I felt like I had so much, you know, um, pain and guilt inside me, and that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't, worthy, that I wasn't going to be a good mother. And it was very difficult for me to really, accept, to receive, to be open, to feel. I feel like I was numb for such a long time. And
Mm,
that numbness, I have to say, that really went away. I am able to like feel with emotion. I'm able to forgive. And I think that's why one of my rings was um the ring that you were mentioning was give. When you're really truly true happiness is when you really give, and it's
mm-hmm,
not about be taking and what can I get next. It's giving. And
mm-hmm,
then there's forgiveness, because sometimes it hurts and there's resentment and there's pain. And if you hold on to that and like you said, you don't let go and let God, just like your uncle mentioned, that's the truth. You gotta forgive, because once you forgive, that heaviness in your heart just softens. I was talking to actually a relative of mine, and she was mentioning certain things about like, well, she shouldn't have done that and she shouldn't. And I was like, why don't you transfer all of that anger to just feel sorry for her? Like she loved the way she could. She grew up she was an orphan. Her parents died when she was 3.
mm,
She was like, I was just explaining things to her, and she was like, oh, Rachel, I never thought about that. Like instead of that, and she had valid anger, she had valid, it was valid what she was saying, and it wasn't fair. But at the end of the day, sometimes when you just transfer that feeling of, anger, to just like this softness comes over you, and you look at this person, whoever you're angry at, in a different way. And I'm not saying that's easy, but definitely I just look at, those people in just a different light. They had their journey, they had their story, and maybe they did whatever they could, and they loved the way they could, the way
mm-hmm,
they knew how, and it might have been not enough, or it wasn't fair, or you deserved more, and you could be right. But I think that all of that really just softens your heart and empowers you to just go a little bit, easier, on yourself, and not hold that all that anger. So I put give, forgive, and then that just gratefulness to live. Because
mm-hmm,
if you're grateful, I mean, you're just living a different life.
mm-hmm,
Part of being a lot of my rings and my bangles and everything that I do is really revolving around mindfulness. And I
mm,
remember once I was asking myself, like, how do I know I'm really being mindful? Like, how do I know that I'm really practicing it? And then it really hit me. I had this rush of gratefulness inside me one moment when
mm-hmm,
my family, I woke up my morning of my birthday, and birthdays, are a little hard for me for several reasons. And they all surprised me, my family, with a little cake. And my father came with a pecan pie, which is his favorite, not mine, but it's like, and I just started crying. And I was crying because I had this rush of gratefulness. And not only that, that I wanted to savor the moment. I was literally looking at him, and my father is getting older. And I just looked at him and I was like, I was fully there right here, right now. Like I was really there. When they walked in, I felt the moment. It wasn't like, hey guys, oh, what's up? How's it going? No, 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 no. Like I was in that moment, living and breathing it. And when I hugged
mm-hmm,
my dad, I hugged him. it was like a real hug, and I didn't want to let him go. And it was just like I realized like that's gratefulness. But when you live like that, and like I said, and you make that invisible visible, it's this like it's just a different life. It really is. Like
Hmm.
your kids' birthdays maybe hit differently, or maybe that job hits differently when you're grateful for what, that job that you got, or maybe the people that you met, like, oh, thank God I have her in my life. I can call her and she's there for me. And these things just hit differently. My daughter actually recently she lost her best friend in an accident. And
Mm.
so we're really, knee deep and really battling grief. I'm watching my daughter battling really heavy grief, and it's very, very hard for her to process. And being that I had my own journey, I feel like almost like being there for her and holding her and just allowing her to process. That's like half the healing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like sometimes you
Hmm.
just need that person to be like, I got you. It hurts. And I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh
just
yeah.
that like and I feel like, watching her grieve and just like, mommy, I miss her. It's not the same. Like I need her here. I'm in high school. Like where is she? Where did she go? Like all these feelings and just, being there for her. It's hard. It's really, life is a journey, and it's definitely, you know, I hope I answered your question, and I'm
Yeah,
going a little bit on a
that's
tangent, but
okay. No, no, that's okay.
I
I want.
definitely, my pieces are literally like pieces of my soul. There's a lot of soul in the
Mm.
jewelry, and every single quote that I put, whether it be let go, let God, or whether I put whatever, quote is in there, is like a different spark and journey in my life that I felt like I wish someone told me,
Hmm.
and I love the fact that I get to do that for, thousands of people around and hearing their stories and emails. And it's just so beautiful. I don't take it for granted at all.
When you brought it up, gratitude is that state of being where you feel through all of your senses, right? Being grateful for that boss, even though they're tough as nails on you, they keep you employed, right? Being grateful for the moments where your kids are screaming, throwing rattles, asking for ring pops, but you're grateful in that moment, right? Of their presence, what they're doing for you. And I'm curious, Rachel, you brought up about your daughter losing a friend, right? And I'm thinking your daughter is high school age, so 14,
Yeah,
15, around there.
exactly.
And I'm curious, Rachel, and lots of love to your daughter, to
Thank
you,
you.
her friends, family. I'm curious how, as a parent, has being with your daughter during her grieving journey, how has that either helped you or kind of pushed you back into your own grief? And how
Right.
also do you feel that this is also giving your daughter permission to grieve in a healthy way?
That's a great question. It's a heavy one. It definitely goes both ways. In some ways it's healing because I feel like almost that there was purpose a little bit to my journey. And that is healing for me, that I get to be the person that maybe that I didn't have. So I'm doing that for her. I'm giving her that, emotional space that she deserves. She was crying one night, and well, she was just in her bed lying there. And teens, they don't really come out of their room, so
Mm-hmm. Right. They want to shut the world out. Everybody sucks.
yeah. So it was close to midnight, maybe even past midnight, and I was about to go to bed and I was exhausted. And I'm like, you know what? It was a couple of days after her best friend's birthday. And I felt a little bit of like sometimes she comes home a little bit, that teenager type of like, so I felt like maybe she was a little like heavier than usual. Maybe I didn't, that mom guilt a little bit creeps in, and it was probably past like 12:30 and I'm about to get into bed, and my bed was calling me. And then this feeling came inside. I'm like, let me go check on her. And I went into her room, and she was in her bed, pretended to sleep, and then she just kind of woke up. She's like, Mom. I said, yeah. I'm like, are you okay? There was no answer. And I sat next to her bed, And then I heard sniffles and she started to cry. I saw a journal there. I think she was journaling to her, writing to her because I told her just write to her, tell her your day, tell her what's going on, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And she started to cry and I hugged her and I lied down with her. And sometimes there's no words. It's just being there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm here with you. I didn't speak. I didn't talk to her. I didn't say, it's going to be okay. Or, it's been a couple of months now. You got to like, no, no, there's nothing you can say.
Right.
I just held her tight, brushed her hair, and I said, I'm so sorry. And I just kept saying the same thing and I cried with her. And I think that like you're saying that it's healing in a way that like I'm able to give to her and be there for her and I know what she needs because sometimes I feel like when a person goes through grief, it's very much like you become this like sensitive and this like transformed person that no one can really you're different. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry. You're a different human. The sensitivity that you have. And I was telling her, after that night, the next morning, she just gave me a hug and it brings you closer. She just walked over to me, and this is not such a teen thing to do. And she
Right.
just gave me a hug and it connects you. And I feel like a part of me, it's also, even though there are parts of me that are healing through this journey, but it's also, there's a lot of pain because no one was there for me. And
Mm.
sometimes you have to kind of pick up the pieces. And for yourself, it was very difficult for me to see parts of her broken.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I told her, this is going to make you into a different person your entire life. And you're going to have this sensitivity towards people. You're going to have this strength, this courage, and this like, and I told her, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that you're, in so much pain. And it's a lot for a
Mm-hmm.
14-year-old, I mean, she's 14 now, but it really is a lot. It's a lot. But I'm happy that I'm able to understand her in ways that
Mm-hmm.
I don't think my mom would have understood me, or anyone, honestly, because a
Mm-hmm.
person who goes through grief understands the other person going, like, you understand, and if you didn't, live through it, then it's hard to. And it's not necessarily their fault. It's just hard to say, I'm holding space for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's very like, that's a feeling that I don't know how many people could say that. I'm thinking of you. Like, I could be going to bed. Honestly, my husband can goes to bed. He's like, what, like, why are you in your room? Go to bed. But he doesn't have that sensitivity
Mm-hmm.
towards her. He doesn't. He's a great guy, but he doesn't. He doesn't get it. He thinks like, all right, she'll be okay. She'll move on, you know. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, but it's part of moving on is being there for the person, showing that I'm holding space for you and that I love you and that I'm with you and that all that healing can come maybe just a little bit faster. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. And with you being a mom to a teenager where you've got the hormones up in there, you got the high school pressures, and now you're feeling this deep void because your best friend has transitioned young.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the state of the world, right? They feel, they know. And I think how beautiful, Rachel, that you're able to meet your daughter there, where so many parents are, they want to hide their grief, right? They don't want their kids to see them vulnerable. And I'm grateful to hear that you're being present with her in
I actually
her.
shared a bit of my story to her, which I never even thought I would. I opened up pieces of me that I shared with her, and we hugged each other, and she said, I'm
Mm,
so sorry, Mom. That must have really hurt. That must have been so painful all these years, and we just like hugged each other. And it was such a moment that it really brought us closer. You can heal from these things and connect and like really connect the pieces. Like it was almost like it came like a full circle type of thing where we were
Hmm.
able to hold each other. And she was really crying. She was scared. She's like, Mom, what if you leave me? I'm like, I'm not leaving you. She's like, right, but she did. And almost like death becomes closer. So it's
Mm.
scary, like especially if you're a teen, because a teen child can't process that. We can't process this. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay.
Our brains, it's so hard to process what grief is. Like, what just happened? Like, no, that can't happen. No. And for a child to process grief, it's even harder. The brain is almost like not in it's not fully developed to really
Right.
understand. And I told her, I'm like, I'm here for you. I'm not going anywhere. And it was just like a moment where it really brought us closer. And
Mm.
I'm grateful for that, that this it didn't, people say like, oh, it must be so hard for you. Probably like, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna be honest. It's definitely draining, but because it's also how you look at it. It's perspective. Like it's
Right.
either that she's draining me, like enough, get yourself together, like, or I can come over to her and see when she's sitting down, spacing out on the couch and looks a little sad, and just sit next to her and say, what's going on? Are you okay? And listen, a lot of parents don't have time for that, or don't want to do it, or it's tiring, or you don't want to get into an emotional conversation because it gets heavy. And
Hmm.
right now, I don't want to get heavy. I actually want to go out to dinner with my friends later on at 8 o'clock, and I don't want to have this conversation right now with her. But I know that she needs it. And, mama's running around. And sometimes you don't want to be a burden. That feeling of like guilt, like, I don't want to burden my friend right now. But you know what? And I always feel like that. And I hate that feeling about myself. It's not fair because what are family and friends for? If I'm
Right.
feeling something, and I told one of my friends this, I said, if I message you, and we have a certain code, that means like I need you. I'm falling apart. This is the moment where, because sometimes you know how we get the same conversations of grief, and kind of like you discuss it with your, spouse or boyfriend, the same conversation over and over. You just got to kind of like get it out again of
Hmm.
pain, and then like just release it. And then you're having that same conversation you had 50 times. It's like that best friend that can hear you
Hmm.
over and over again. But you discussed this like 10 times, and she said, that it's not your fault, or it couldn't have been different, or you know what I'm saying? We reviewed all of this, but you just kind of got to hear it again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For the 10th time or the 100th time. And I told her, I'm like, I'm gonna need you sometimes to get me out of my low. Can you do that
Hmm.
for me? Even though you did it, 100 other times, but can you do it 101 times? Because I'm kind of feeling in this like funk right now and I can't get
Hmm.
out. I know that about myself. So when I look at her, I don't, see her as like, again, she's thinking about her friend. Well, yeah, they went away with a group of friends. She had a weekend away from a class trip. Her best friend wasn't there. Yes, it's heavy. Yeah, she's thinking that it would have been way more fun if she was there. 100% she's feeling heavy. And what's wrong with that? That's normal emotion. So we got to be like, oh, let's not talk about it so she can heal faster. No, the
Nope.
opposite. And a lot of times people don't get that. So I'm grateful that I'm able to like really understand her because I lived
Hmm.
through it.
Right. And you, because of your own experience, you know what it's like to not have someone there to say, I see you, just to be in your presence, to comfort you, not even to say anything, right? Because sometimes too many words are too much, or the same regurgitated platitudes of, oh, if you need anything, call me. Or there are no words. Oh, I'm not going to, we'd have to do a part two on that, Rachel, if I'm going to go down that boat. But Rachel, really quick, we're going to be wrapping up here soon. And for our audience who's tuning in, if they want to connect with you and, get some of your jewelry from the Honest Jeweler, please share with them how they can. And also tell us kind of if there's any new things that you're going to do for 2026 for the jewelry company.
Thank you. So we definitely have a lot of newness coming, but I'll start with we have an Instagram account where we're very active on. It's called The Honest Jeweler. And definitely our best-selling items are right now our spinner rings and our
Yep, those are
affirmation
you. I have
bangles.
one, and I.
Yeah, we do have also handwriting jewelry where people want to. I made it a beautiful pendant for someone who lost her mother, and we put her mother's handwriting on this
Mm,
pendant. It was actually from her will. And I had the honor to engrave it on a pendant. So anything really that has meaning, that's where we're really, touching on because we want to make this process a little bit easier. And, so definitely you could see our spinner rings and our bangles online, also at the website, thehonestjewelershop.com. We are always running, different promos. And for 2026, we definitely are. We do a lot of on-site engravings as well, where we come to the event, whether it be, a birthday, a corporate event, any holiday party, and we engrave on site. So just
mm,
meaningful pieces, keepsake gifts. The people really love it. It's like so beautiful, and I love doing that. And I get to also meet my followers, meet people, and they're like, Rachel, oh my gosh. And it's so nice to put faces to people who I've met, through this journey of my business. So, we are going to be doing a lot more on-site events, and we have a lot more different designs coming up with our spinner rings. We had just launched, it's going to be coming out 2026, but we are taking pre-orders of the Naomi spinner ring, which is dedicated to my daughter. Her name is Naomi.
oh,
Has diamonds on the side of each edge. It spins, but it has these beautiful diamonds because diamonds are formed under pressure. And
mm,
you're going through tremendous amount of pressure, but you're a diamond. And that's the only way diamonds are formed. And you're going to be this amazing, unique, special girl on this journey. And it's creating her. And she's really being, I mean, she changed in so many ways. And I dedicated this ring. It's called the Naomi Spinner Ring. So that's coming out in 2026, along with other beautiful cutout designs with black, or like different type of enamel spinner rings. So a lot more like colors. And I'm just really excited. A lot more sayings. Yeah, I'm really excited to be on this path and journey, and just empowering people around, and just having a lot of soul, in my jewelry. Like when
mm-hmm,
I sit there engraving, yesterday I was engraving um 60, 55 bracelets for this orphanage,
mm-hmm,
and had a special quote on there. And it was just something that was, it's like there's an engraver, but then there's an engraver who, when they engrave with soul. I'm literally
mm-hmm,
packaging it, and I'm like, let this girl, when she puts this on, to let her know that the world, because it said the world was created for me. That was the quote.
mm,
To feel in her heart, and she's in an orphanage, who are the one that's gifting these 60, 55 girls in this orphanage. I want her to feel my soul, and I want her to wear this as a reminder when she looks at her bracelet, to know that the world was created for her. And like I kind of say like this little prayer when I package, it's coming from a real person, a woman that has lived through things. And I'm just like, I'm happy to have that inside my packages. Like there's like a
mm-hmm.
feeling behind that person, and it's not like there's like a real woman behind the scene packaging the stuff. And it's just a lot of like jewelry with soul. So I'm really excited.
I love that, Rachel. So for our audience who's tuning in, you can follow The Honest Jeweler on Instagram. You can find The Honest Jeweler shop online. Obviously, Google is always your friend if you forget. And also, we'll include this information in the show notes. Well, everybody, that was your founder of The Honest Jeweler, Miss Rachel Samani, that you heard from on this episode of Grew with Portia. And that concludes our conversation for today. And until next time, everybody, peace and hair grease, everyone.